Donald Keyhoe was born in Iowa in 1897 and then enlisted in the Marines from 1919 to 1923. He broke his arm in an airplane crash in 1922, and during this time, he began to write. In the mid-1920s, Keyhoe would write short stories for pulp fiction magazines that were mostly fantasy and horror-based. Around this time, he met famed aviator Charles Lindbergh and flew with him through 48 states, spanning 22,000 miles over 95 days. Time would name Charles Lindbergh its first Man of the Year, and Keyhoe would go on to write his first successful novel in 1928 called Flying with Lindbergh. Keyhoe would continue to write novels and short stories here and there, delving more into science fiction throughout the time leading up to World War II, where he then re-enlisted in the military in 1942, this time in the Naval Aviation Training Division. In 1947, just like the rest of the nation, he became quite interested in the flying pancakes in the sky, but unlike most Americans, Keyhoe had connections to the US government, as he was a military veteran himself. A men's magazine that Keyhoe had written fiction stories for several times called True was trying to get answers from military officials about the flying disc craze, but to no avail. And in 1949, Ken Purdy, the editor of True magazine, asked Donald Keyhoe to reach out to anyone he may know in the military for answers. As I mentioned before, Keyhoe was also an aviator, and he knew that reports such as Kenneth Arnold's story from Washington could not have been a result of human-made aircraft. So that same year, in 1949, Keyhoe reached out to the CIA asking what they knew about flying saucers. The CIA officials mostly responded to Keyhoe, but didn't give him any exciting stories to share. They told him that there wasn't anything to the flying saucers, but they never offered him any concrete answers about what they actually could have been. Keyhoe then became frustrated and thought that the CIA was participating in a cover-up, so he decided to draw his own conclusions. The day after Christmas in 1949, he published an article in True magazine claiming that it was extraterrestrial beings that were flying these UFOs in the sky. And this article was then expanded to a 175-page novel printed in paperback in 1950 called The Flying Saucers Are Real. It was a massive hit amongst the public. Not only did it provide an exciting explanation for what the flying disc could have been in 1947 from a military veteran, but it also sparked the imagination of the general populace. It was sort of like giving a Cheeto to a pilgrim.